Hi.
How are y'all doing this morning?
Good.
Well, we're honored to have Jimmy DeButts this morning speak to, there may be some crisis communication students here too, but this is senior semester broadcast and multimedia students. Jimmy is an assistant editor of the Capital Gazette in Annapolis, Maryland, and of course he lost five of his colleagues last June in that shooting there. I think he wants to talk about that perhaps and the aftermath and also the really critical importance of political service. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I just said well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I love coming back to Carolina. I graduated in '96. We were in a whole different building, a lot less technology. But just a little bit about me. So I graduated in '96. I was a sports reporter for 9 years. I was covered mainly baseball and prep high school sports in small town Virginia, and then I went to Augusta for 3 years, and then I went covered Clemson for a couple years. They went to that's fine. And then I covered Auburn for 5 years before my paper in Birmingham closed. And then I became a district reporter. Moved to Baltimore to be an editor at a business journal, and then I moved to Annapolis in March of 2012 to be business editor / Friday night editor. I had 4 or 5 different titles since then. But basically what we do is we're a community in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, about 500,000 people, right on Chesapeake Bay. So we are uber local. You don't get much more local than we are. We have seen the downsizing of our newsroom. We had 17 reporters when I started. We'll have as of Monday we'll have 8. So we are definitely doing more with less. We have more, thanks to the positive things on social media. We have more readers than we probably ever had, but we're not capable of doing the major projects that we used to be able to do on a regular basis. But so that's just where we are. We still cover the high school sports. We still cover tax hikes. We cover entertainment. Cover every high school graduation in the county. So what we do is local. We don't generally get involved with national issues unless it applies to the Naval Academy or something that hits our community that's national. I was standing for you because I was on vacation on June 28th, 2018, when my newsroom was attacked and 5 of my friends were killed. It's obviously going to be something that's going to be part of our history, but it's not the only thing. I think what we continue to do to honor the people that we lost is to continue to serve our community, report the news. There's one thing I'm most proud of is that we never stopped. We had our first paper this very next day. We are sister papers with the Baltimore Sun, and several of the people that helped to put out the next day's paper came from our paper, so they knew the people that were involved. So even though I was in Massachusetts, I really couldn't do much. It was all hands on deck, and people that were fighting tears, literally, put out the paper. So we honor Joe, John, Rebecca, and Rob, and Wendy by just continuing to do the job that we've always done. They were there doing their job. Nothing different on that Thursday other than a man came with a gun. So yeah, Chase Cook has been put on the stand paper, and that day, Lisa is representing.
Yay!
And Chase and photographer Josh and our reporter Pat, they were on site within minutes and set up a virtual newsroom in the bed of Pat's truck and wrote stories from there, literally across the street where our friends died. So I think it might have been therapeutic. I don't know. Can't go inside their heads, but they were committed to doing the job because they weren't going to be deterred because this horrible thing happened. They wanted to be part of the ones telling the story. So I'm here because I wasn't there. And had I been, I would have been probably the 4th one killed because my desk was right in line and there was no place for me to hide. So I'm only here because chance. So feel it's my responsibility to kind of shine their light on, and share their light. They were great people who are only doing their job, and they were great people to be with. So Wendy, I just wanted to tell a little about them. Wendy is the mother of 3 midshipmen, and she volunteered. If she wasn't volunteering, she was doing something with the Girl Scouts. She tried to sell us cookies all the time. She was taking kids to watching Redskins games to sell stuff to raise money. She knew everybody in Annapolis, and she probably told everybody's story now. So that was just the biggest thing. I think when we went to her memorial service, everybody had a story because she was a vibrant person. She was a proud New Yorker who would talk her ear off, but she knew she was the greatest. She had the greatest character trait you want to report. She talked to people. She found out about what made them tick. She found what made them interesting. So we benefited. Our paper benefited from her personality and just her relentlessness. Rob was the person who hired me. He was a great friend of mine. He came to my wedding. I tell people he was the nicest person you ever met. I mean, literally the nicest person you ever met. He pulled off on the side of the road one time and found a dog that had been abandoned. Saved it. So it's just the kind of person he was. Rebecca only worked with us for a few months before she was killed, but she referred to her as being a bonus mom. Her fiance had, I think, an 8-year-old, and she was just a person who was full of energy in life. John reported to me he was a sports writer who was taken off the sports writing beat and wasn't shy about telling you he was not happy with that. But while he might be grumpy, he went out and found great people stories every week from the lakes. And so I always tell people, yeah, he's grumpy, but he's a newsman. He's going to find that story. You give him an assignment, he says, oh, it's a story. You come back with the greatest people story. I tell he didn't want to go out and talk to this animal control person, but he came back and said, this guy's caught alligators and stuff. So he was super excited. So, and then Gerald was the quietest person in the newsroom, but he was probably the smartest and the most journalistically sound person I've ever met. So I just want to give a little bit of information about them because they were great people who just, and before I forget, Wendy probably helped save 4 or 5 lives. She grabbed a recycling bin and a trash bin and tried to attack the gunman as he came out. That brief moment gave people that were back of the office a chance to hide. And we were lucky that we were right across the mall, and there was security, and there happened to be police passing by or close by. So police got there within a minute or so of shooting starting, or being called. So there's no doubt in my mind that Wendy gave them the extra time. So because I think what happened is the gunman hit on her desk. I think he hurt the police and he hit on the desk. And so instead of hunting out those people, so there's no doubt in my mind that because of her actions, more people are alive today. We were honored to be one of the Time Magazine's People of the Year. Everything changed that day because nothing will be the same. We all have some sort. Everybody that was either there or knew those folks have some sort of PTSD. We're all in therapy. We all have our good days and bad days. But so nothing will ever go back to the way it was. But our mission has never changed. What we do each day, we know it's important. We know if we don't cover those things in our community, nobody's going to do it. It's important that people know that taxes might be hiked. It's important they know if their schools are in investigation because there was inappropriate activities between teachers and students. If we don't do that, that's not going to be done. So we take that very seriously, and our role will never change. That's what we do. We might have smaller numbers in our newsroom, but we put a paper out every single day, and we do our best to make sure it's something that reflects on the good that's happening. We want people a lot of times say, you don't put any positive things. Well, there's lots of good positive things, especially in our newspaper. One of the stories that was written, I think, Tuesday before I left was somebody had lost their dog, got in a car accident, the dog ran off. That's not going to be, the Washington Post is not going to write that story. But, it was a cute little thing. So those are things that, that we balance with the more mundane county council stories. And we've also, our editor Rick Hutzel has done a good job of challenging our elected officials to speak up and offer their solutions to this mass gun violence epidemic that we're seeing. We've asked, we're not taking a side. We don't care if you're left or right. We just want solutions. We don't. It's obviously been more mass shootings since ours, but we just want to see the day when they stop, and we hope we can come together and not let ideology on one side or the other stop us from making a change. Even small changes, hopefully, can make a difference. I probably skip over this more for the PR folks. So, I can just talk about relationships are important. I mean, the sources you interact with to help you either get in contact with the people you need to talk to, your stories, or the people that are sources that might be able to feed you information that will help you break a story. There's nothing that changes in journalism from 1800s to now. It's all about getting access to news, getting access to facts. And so if you can build a relationship with PR folks or community leaders or politicians, if you build those things early, when you need a favor or when you have something you have to confirm, if you're calling somebody you had trust built in, they're more likely to answer your phone call, and then B, they might go, you didn't hear it from me, but yeah, you're on the right track. Or call Bob Smith because he knows. So when you're covering a big story, the first person you call is probably not going to give you the full truth. So it's getting, who knows the answer. What you have to do is you find all the people who can fill in the missing pieces. So when you call that person that has the full answer, they know you have all the information you can just verify. So that all starts to me with relationships with sources. And for us, just obviously local matters, what we do, what most papers, most journals do is cover the local community. So you have to know the community. What's important to them? What our schools, like in our community in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, schools are very important. So we're a suburb of Baltimore, in some of D.C., and our schools are fairly good, but there's achievement gaps in poor minority communities that aren't as prevalent in the more affluent parts. So our community cares about those things. So we cover those things probably more heavily than the Washington Post. And one thing I just want to say next is coming out of our tragedy, we've all kind of done our different things. Wendy was a huge blood donor. She was called a super donor. It was so many gallons, I forget how many it was. But so a lot of us have given. I can give every 56 days. So I challenge people to, if you're passionate about something, find a way you can give back. If there's a nonprofit or a cause you believe in, find a way to give back. I challenge anybody to give blood because that is a lifesaver. Rob Heisen's book was published after he died. He'd been working on it for about 10 years. It's a dream, unfortunately, he didn't get to see come to fruition when he was alive, but his wife made sure that got fulfilled, and then John McNamara's got another book coming out. So we are continuing to honor them and do scholarships and those folks' names. I love the University of South Carolina, but I'm going to donate to them too. So, but I think going forward, we just have to look beyond just our immediate pain. You can't just say, okay, I'm happy with what I'm doing. There's other people that can use help. There's good causes, whatever you believe in. Find a way to make your community stronger by giving your time and your blood. Probably rambled on. Is there anybody have any questions? Anything specifically you want me to address?
You talked about how Wendy was a really good people person, and how important do you think that is, as a journalist, to you have a face in the community? Does that make it easier for people to talk to you and run their stories?
I think it does. I mean, I won't gauge this room, but I know there's a lot of journalists I have interacted with, me included, are introverts in a lot of ways. So it's hard. She was out there. So yeah, you'd be somewhere and somebody comes to Wendy, I got a story, and she loved the gossip. So you don't have to gossip, but she knew everybody's business and she knew the backstory. This person's house was in 200 years, and so I think it does help. And if not, even if you're not flamboyant, if you're out there in the community, our photographer, he gets his name's Paul, and he loves, people come, I saw your picture in the paper, so they know him. So I think if they see your byline, or we've done a lot of videos. 2 years ago, we were really heavy doing reporter videos explaining a story, and then Facebook changed their algorithm, and they said, don't do videos. So, but that would help too. But in our paper, we have faces sometimes. But just being in the community, if you're covering county beat, Go to as many meetings. Don't just go to the county council meeting. Go to planning meetings. Go to community events where they're talking about, hey, we're worried about overdevelopment. Get out there. Even if you're not writing a story, if they see you, you give them a card, you give them your number, contact information. They know you care before they need to call you. And so they'll call you. They may not call your competitor. They'll say, yeah, I saw you out there. And here's they're illegally dumping so and so. So yeah, it does. I think it's. I always tell people there's no news stories in the newsroom. Nothing's happening. Okay, one time there was, but most of the stories you're gonna find are because you're talking to people in the community. You're out looking at things. Like I walk up and down Annapolis and I say, oh, that business closed. This is opening. So the more you're out there, the more people will recognize you as something that they can go to.
What is one of the things, or I guess one of the most notable things you've learned from this experience?
Well, two things. I think the community outpouring was phenomenal. The city asked us to lead the 4th of July parade. People were like giving us standing ovations. I think people like to criticize the newspaper. We do make mistakes. We also are transparent, like putting our mistakes on page 2, corrections. But I think there is appreciation for what we do. So that was heartening that, even if people that may disagree with us editorially or they don't think we should have covered this story, they understand the value of local news. So I think that was great. And I just think the other thing is just we can't stop what we do. It's like, especially that first week, it would have been easy for us to go, we're all just taking off. But I think it was therapeutic. For me particularly, it was therapeutic to be in that newsroom. Right, I handle like community columns, so it's like 7 or 8 stories a week. Sometimes they're boring, but I was like, you know what, I'm doing something that's important. It's what Wendy and Rick and Rob and Gerald and Rick were all just doing their jobs, so I can do this. So I think I took that away. It's something that what we do that has value. I think we can honor them by doing it.
What changes have you seen, not only like in your newsroom, but in Annapolis?
That's a good question. I think we are, as a group, a little more jittery. But we hear a lot of noises. We kind of quickly jump. I will say, the outpouring was great. In the first couple of months, people sent us food, and journalists from around the world sent us gifts and things. But it probably only took about 6-8 weeks before people started saying, well, we were with you after the shooting, but because you wrote an editorial against our issue, I was like, okay. But in a way, I kind of like, you didn't change. That's okay. We can still be that lightning rod. That's okay. That's what we're doing. I do think people, and I think since newsrooms are shrinking, there is a recognition of that. And people say, our digital subscriptions like skyrocketed, like higher than percentage-wise, higher than any paper in our chain, basically. But we know where that was. But it was heartening that people saw the value, and it was heartening that people are seeing the value in Washington Post and New York Times, and hopefully the State and Post and Courier are seeing the same thing. Because without us, you'll find out about your tax increase when you get the bill. So I think I hope people not only support us, but take that leap and actually pay the $10 a month or whatever it is to be a subscriber. I'll try you to your first.
As a journalist, we're told to, maintain a level of objectivity. So when the incident occurred, what helped your paper to kind of maintain that objectivity when reporting the facts of that tragedy?
That's a great question. Yeah, and it's easier than you think, I guess, because we are journalists, and so it happened to us, and like we deal with it now because there was an outpouring of support. And a lot of people are trying to do things like give us memorials that we didn't ask for, or do things, so we have to think, how does it advance our mission? If it's a national recognition, okay, maybe that's something that's newsworthy. If it's a local organization who sometimes it feels like they're trying to do things for their own benefit, then we go, okay, well, thank you. It's nice, but we may not write a story. We are really in tune with the advancements, progress of the trial of the shooter. So we have 2 reporters who weren't at the office of the day that are covering it, and they take pride in it. it's easy to be objective in the sense that we cover trials all the time. So we don't change what we do. We're not giving this one any more importance than we had a double murder last Monday, and we've given that. You know, one thing I wanted to say is I had never said the shooter's name. It's important to me that we highlight the people that got lost. We did story on the victims in this past week. That was important. These are people in the community who had their lives cut short. And so it may be the only time during the newspaper, but we wanted to give show their lives mattered by having a story about them. We're going to do stories on the alleged shooter, but we're trying not to put too much emphasis on the perpetrator. Does that make sense? I think it's important that we have to cover that. We're not going to not do our duty, but we don't have to go overboard. I don't want to see a story. I don't care what the motivation for our shooter was. We'll do. He's going to get here. He's going to get a sentence, and bam. There's no interest in doing what motives. We've kind of written the stories because they're facts on he had a grudge against our paper. But there's no need for us to go talk to his family members. Why? So that's maybe an editorial decision. But I don't think it advances journalism to explain his motivations in depth. Does that answer?
Yes.
Okay. You said enough of it.
Yeah, this kind of like jumps on that question, but just in general, did what happened kind of change the way your staff approaches their reporting in general?
I don't think so. The biggest notable change is we have armed guard, and he's great. Lon is a great guy, and he makes us feel comfortable. It's fine, but every day he's the first person you see when you go in the office, and he's a nice looking guy. Don't get me wrong, he's a good person, but it's also a reminder to him he's here for a reason. But as far as day-to-day stories, no, I don't think we don't change. And I think that's a credit to the reporters and the editors that. We still ask the same questions. We still get people mad at us because we write editorials that they don't like, or we pursue stories that the mayor is a really nice guy, but we found out pretty quickly that we're not friends. We're here to cover you. We're going to write stuff that you think is positive. We're going to write things you think negative, but it's all because it's what's in the best interest of the public.
That was kind of my question.
Okay.
But I guess, is that the only type of security or safety that you've changed since the incident?
Well, we're supposedly in an undisclosed location. We don't have any broadcast. We're in borrowed space. The University of Maryland has it's kind of like a student semester, but it's an all semester. They have an office in DC, an office in Annapolis, and right now they're covering the General Assembly. But they have, so we're in a room that probably usually holds 4 reporters, and there's 12 or 15 of us extra. So we don't have any other security. Our new building will have 2 entry works. So if you get to the first door, which it'll be bulletproof, then you have to go to a second one, and then I think in between those 2 is an armor. So there's a lot less chance of us.
So you didn't go back to the.
Oh no, we didn't. We haven't been back. The University of Maryland stepped up like that. It happened on a Thursday. On Monday, we were at the University of Maryland Space in Annapolis downtown. So they've been unbelievably gracious. And the woman who runs the program, Karen, she is like our mother. She's awesome. She handles all the gifts that we've gotten. People have sent us food and stuff. So she kind of and sure, as college students and as journalists, free food is always welcome. So we're not in for the money. But so the outpouring support across the country, journalists across the globe, it reminds us that it's not just us. We're our fraternity across the world. What we do is a very unique profession. It takes, like I said, a lot of us are introverts, but it takes a lot of guts to go to somebody and ask them, "Why did you do X?" and that hurt the community. Because people don't want to answer that question. But we have a very unique skill set that I think brings us all together.
How do you feel about fake news?
I wish it would go away. Because again, it goes back to my thing about having our corrections. We make mistakes. there's no we typos and we have we transpose numbers and facts get wrong, but we within as soon as we can we get it on, we correct it online, and then we also have on page 2 we have our corrections. So, to your fake news, I think there's always been criticism. It's not new that if you don't like a story, then you just criticize the source. But it's gotten with social media. I think people are attacking individual reporters. It's a lot easier to go after so and so, and that the person has an agenda. I know people have political leanings, but it doesn't. I have not seen it. I haven't allowed it in our stories. So you can challenge what we write factually. If we get facts wrong, we'll be happy to listen to you. But to just dismiss us, we don't get a lot of that because what happens is we see these people every day. So it's easy from afar to go, oh, yeah, it's fake news. No, you don't have to deal with that person, or you don't still care. But we have relationships with most of the people that might think they're treated unfair. And they're generally politicians. I mean, our mayor, like I said, he was a business person. He won won over an incumbent who had done a pretty good job, but he found out pretty quickly that you can't just do whatever you want. He fired his police chief and changed his story about 4 times. So what should have been a one headline it's still ongoing. So he doesn't use fake news. He gets mad at us, but I think it's just a crutch people use when they can't fight the facts.
Jimmy, what advice would you give to the students? For instance, this week we've had to cover an event close to us, being with the USC death, and you had the same experience where you were kind of part of the story in a way that you didn't want to be part of. How do you separate yourself?
And some of you, you try to, some of you can't, because some people were witnesses, or some people, in our situation, we all wanted to write columns about our lost friends. So some way you can't, and you shouldn't. If you're part of the story, you shouldn't. But you have to. You have to show sensitivity. That's the key. You should still be empathetic. If you're news gathering organizations, but you're still human. So we should try to be as empathetic as we can to the survivor family members, to the classmates who knew these folks, this young lady. I think you just have to look at it as, what will we do if this person wasn't a college student here, which it happened, how would you cover it? But then also, you have to also look like, this happened on our campus. How do we stop this from happening again? Those are stories and questions you should be asking and should be doing. Because it impacts your community, so your community cares. So you have to be sensitive to it. I don't think you should shy away from it. I think you should look for angles that will localize it. And I always think, how can your reader use this news? How can they improve their life or improve their situation or change laws that benefit? So are there ways that laws need to be changed? Are there security protocols that need to be implemented? What have other colleges done in some situations? I always say there's no new ideas. Steal a good one. If you see another paper do a good story, localize it. Find a way to do it. So I would kind of maybe look at what other folks are doing. Obviously, there's a very unique situation, but there could be, rideshare stories and precautionary measures other universities have adopted that might work.
Are you optimistic about the future of local journalism?
Short answer is I'm optimistic that people will always have an appetite for it. I'm a big proponent of paywalls. I saw it when I worked for the business journals. Every story they do is behind a paywall. So there's no getting around 5 free ones and you get them. So I think if papers adopt paywalls, they keep trying to chase clicks. The current company I've been with 7 years, we've been chasing them. We went from 17 reporters to 8. So that tells me the revenue hasn't come in. If you put a paywall in, and right now Baltimore, their mayor is in serious trouble because she didn't report a bunch of income she got. And again, it's one of those things, she tried to stonewall, she called it a witch hunt, then she apologized, and now she's on a leave of absence. If all those stories were behind a paywall and everybody had to purchase an online subscription to read them, they'd get revenue. And yeah, maybe you only sign for a month, but then you show them the value you know what? You put your high school sports behind it because you know who covers high school sports? Local journalists. The Washington Post is not coming down here to cover, Lexington High School. So there's only one place that's going to do it. There may be, I think there'll be, 10, 15 years, maybe, if not complete elimination of door, your front porch delivery. It's going to be almost gone. So it's all going digital. And if newspapers don't figure out a way to do it, there'll be verticals that say, hey, we cover DC entertainment, we cover DC business, we cover DC crime. There will be people that fill those vacuums. I think it's going to be more vertical. I think the business journals do that. They cover business in a single community. They do it very well. They are the experts. There's no reason that, The Atlantic, Sports Online, they hired everybody. They took people from the Baltimore Sun to cover the Orioles. They stole people. They have a 3-year model. We'll find out 3 years if they're still existing. But they're going heading in on local sports because they want the experts. And I had a friend I graduated with who covers Clemson for Tiger Insider, it was called. And he left the Post and Courier to go there doing that. He's been doing that for like a decade. Clemson people will pay this to get their football. So he can tell this is how much revenue we have because we've done these many stories, and this is how much engagement we have. There's a market. There's a model. The right people haven't been put in charge of creating the ones.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much, Jimmy. Really appreciate it.